First and foremost, being a lookalike in and of itself is not illegal because you don't control who you look like. But it's the activities of these persons and the intention behind these things that could lead to criminal liability or civil liability. For instance, if I personate or I make a representation for you to think I'm Kwame Eugene, and based on the representation, and I procure your consent, and you part the ownership of a property or money, that could be a criminal liability because that could amount to defrauding by false pretense. Because defrauding by false pretense under Act 29, which is the criminal act, under Section 132 talks about the fact that you make a representation of false pretenses to suggest that you are someone for the person or someone to part with a property. So once we go elsewhere, let's say, for example, you can't do that in Accra, but you go to a village, you get someone to think you are Kwame Eugene or Mr. Drew, and the person parts with a property or money, then you could be held liable for defrauding by false pretense. And that's a second-degree felony. And offenses which include dishonesty can lead to about a sentence of about 20 years. That is the criminal side. Now, there are civil implications. So there are two aspects. There are general activities in the copyrighted product of the artist, let's say music. With regards to copyright, artists have performance rights, and the owners of the economic rights, which are those who created original work, are those who can give you license or permission to perform their songs. Now, when you mount stage and you mislead people or make it look as though you are performing their song, then you are likely to infringe their performance rights. And infringement can lead to fines, and it can lead to a jail term about 5 years.
Are we talking about fine? How much fine are we looking at?
It depends. The court makes such a determination, looking at the activities in general. So the court make a determination of how much fines should be charged against the person who infringed this copyright. But I explained earlier on that's why these artists and their management have to act timeously. For instance, the links situation is a step in the right direction. You can actually issue a stop and desist letter to actually ask them to stop. Because at the end of the day, this is very dangerous. As I was explaining earlier of Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
back in the day, he actually organized, there was like a competition of his lookalikes. He himself participated and lost. Dolly Parton, she also made mention of the fact that there was a lookalike competition for her, and she also participated and lost. This is to suggest that even the main people or celebrities who have their lookalikes are losing such things. So it is very difficult to control. So as an artist or a management of an artist, I think it's better you take a step. Once they've started doing things or having activities that may end up being unfair competition to your brand, then you have to take a step. You don't wait till things get out of hand before
you do that.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
I explained earlier on. So the issue of personation comes under the Criminal Act, which is Section 131. 132 defines personation, where you represent to someone that you are X, or you could even use your name, but once you make the person think you are someone else, and based on that representation, the person parts with the ownership of a property, or even with money, then it becomes criminal. Then it amounts, or it may amount to defrauding by false pretense. As I explained earlier on, it is a second-degree felony. But because it involves dishonesty, you could serve jail term up to about 20 years.
Hey.
Yes.
oh wow.
Because offenses bordering on dishonesty, like stealing, robbery, all take serious punishment. So it could lead to about 20 years.
Well,